Okay, once you find out if you meet the requirements, you're going to fill out an application. Applications are all done online now. We used to have to turn them in by hand, but now applications are all done online. And most of the applications are going to be done on the cities that you're applying for, either on the city's website, the county's website, or they're going to be done through governmentjobs.com. All right. And so, again, you're going to have to be familiar with what the requirements are. So, minimum requirements are going to be 18, high school diploma or GED, National Registry EMT certification, and a valid driver's license. So those are minimum. Okay. Other departments, someone just had a recruitment. I think it was Pasadena, and you had to be 21. So those are just the requirements that they set. From the application, applications will be screened, and you're also going to be requested to submit a written exam score. So National Testing Network is, I think, the most common that you're going to use. So you would go onto the National Testing Network's website, and you would complete the exam, and then you would submit your score. There is going to be a minimum passing score, and I believe you can take those about every 5 to 6 months. You can redo your test, so there will be a minimum passing score that you need. The written exams, there's a combination of exams, and again, we have a journal entry on that, which you'll go through the video on the journal entry. I put a couple of videos in there that you'll watch, and then you will craft a reply to some of the questions. But generally speaking, the written exams, you're going to have some part of math, reading comprehension, some mechanical aptitude, recognition or observation, and then some psychological questions that go along with those exams. A lot of departments now are requiring you to submit a pass-fail or a time with one of the physical agility tests or physical ability tests that are used. The two most common ability tests that are used here in this area are going to be your CPAT and your BIDL. BIDL is Santa Ana College offers the BIDL, as do other community colleges. And then the CPAT, you'll have to look up their website to see where that's offered. But when you look at CPAT, you'll be able to find it pretty easy just in a quick internet search. And just keep in mind that there are departments that will require you to take it again, even though you submit one. So they might have their own version of the physical ability test that you have to take. The oral interview process. So once those portions are done, they will have a select pool of candidates, and they'll invite a certain number of candidates to their interview process. And so you want to practice your interviews. Your interview is going to consist of a panel. Typically, your first round, you'll have captains and maybe somebody from HR, human resources. You might have 2 graders, you might have 3, you might have 4. It just depends on the department and how specific they are. And then that number gets broken down again, and you go through what's called a chief's interview. So you'll have a couple of different interviews to go through, and it's basically narrowing down the selection so that the departments and the fire chief's going to make the final decision on who they're hiring, and then they'll offer those people jobs. So this talks about the second interview. It's a little bit more specific, and usually you go from what we call a captain's interview to a chief level interview, where you'll be interviewing with chief officers. And this is that final stage, and it just basically getting to know you, getting to know things about you, how you craft your responses, how you carry yourself, how you speak. So you're graded, and there's a criteria to grade each candidate based right when you walk in the door. What does your appearance look like? Are you shaking your hands? Are you shaking hands? Are you making eye contact? Or how you're answering questions, how you're formulating your thoughts. Okay, so all of those things come into play when you're interviewing. So you'll want to practice that, and you will want to try to practice that with some with firefighters that have already been through this process. So once that second phase of interviews takes place, then what's known as a conditional offer of employment gets sent out. And a conditional offer of employment means that you will be hired if you complete the final stages of the process, which are the medical exam, the psychological exam, and then the background check. From there, you can go to another academy if you've already completed one, like a basic fire academy like Santa Ana offers. If you've already completed one, you may have to attend another full academy, or you may attend a shorter version of academy to where a department will teach you how they how they do their hose lays, how they throw their ladders, how they complete their evolutions. Probation is generally a year. I don't know of any that are 3 years, but 1 to 3 years. And it's really based on the jurisdiction. Some are hourly, where you have to complete a year's worth of shifts, the hourly equivalent of 1 year's worth of shifts. So if you take a couple shifts off, then it'll be a little bit longer than a year because you'll have to complete those. And what this does is it allows the opportunity for the recruit or the probationary firefighter to demonstrate that they have the necessary skills and the necessary abilities to complete all of the tasks and training and meet the standard of the department. All right. So keep in mind that during your probationary period, if you're failing to meet the standards, that you can be terminated at any time during that probationary period. You're what's considered an at-will employee, means that you can be terminated at any time. Volunteer firefighter selection. Sometimes it's a little bit easier. The cost of going through that selection process for a municipal fire department is it's pretty expensive once you're what you're putting into the candidates, once you're getting that far to where you're making your final selection. So volunteer selection is it's a little bit less difficult. Or a little bit, the process is less difficult. Sometimes you don't go through a background check, or the background check is a little bit less. But also what you're doing as a volunteer is less as well. So, sometimes the process is a little bit different, but, they will, screen, to make sure that you, they will do a background screen, but it's not as in depth. And they will do some kind of interview process for the volunteer positions. All right, we're moving on to the last section as far as career firefighters. So salary and retirement benefits, life and health insurance, paid vacation and sick leave, and then uniform allowance and other incentives. The departments have what's called a memorandum of understanding or your contract, right? So we all have a contract, and a contract outlines salary, retirement benefits, all of the things that are listed here on the right-hand side. You can view all of those if you go onto any city's website, or you go onto any county's website, and you go to the HR, the human resources department of that city or county. You can view what their contract or what their memorandum of understanding is for the different ranks, and you can see the salary and benefits package. Typically during the recruitment, you will have you'll see a brief version of what the benefits are. Salaries are going to vary by location depending on which department you are. Some pay more, some pay less. So salaries are going to vary, and then depending on which part of the country that you're working in, that the salary and benefits package is definitely going to be different. Certifications, education, and length of service typically factor into pay rates. There are incentives for having additional education and additional certifications based on the specific memorandum of understanding or contract that each department has. Firefighters in more affluent or larger metropolitan areas earn more than those in small towns. That's true based on the agency that you work for. Let's see, hours of duty. So departments are going to have various schedules, but for the most part, you can plan on working a 24 to a 48-hour shift. One of the common shifts now that are going through the fire department is 48 hours on, 96 hours off, or 2 days on, 4 days off. There's also a Kelly schedule, and I'm not going to go through all of the different schedules that they have, but you can plan on working, if you're assigned to a station, at least a 24-hour day, followed by a day off. Okay. And then there'll be different rotations. or you can plan on working 48 hours with 4 days off. When you have administrative assignments or staff assignments, those are typically going to be 5 8-hour days or 4 10-hour days. Sometimes they'll have 3 12-hour days, depending on the assignment that you get. And that's the breakdown of how the fire service shifts are going to work. Promotion, increased pay, increased responsibility, and pretty much every promotion that you take, you're going to have an exam or some kind of exam process. And usually you'll have a written exam, you'll have a skills exam. So for example, to promote to engineer, there's a written exam for the engineer, and then usually they'll have an engineer's academy, and then they'll have a skills portion of that for that job that's specific to that job. And then you'll have an interview process, and you have to pass each of the phases. For company officer, you have a written exam, then you have scenario-based exams where you're running scenarios. Typically, you'll have some kind of writing assignment, and then you'll have an interview portion. So when you look at the California State Fire Marshal State Fire Training, you can also see the classes that you need to take to get certified into each of those. And you may be required to have that certification in order to take the promotional test in your department. Retirement, there's several different retirement programs. Most of the programs here are CalPERS, and then you have like Orange County has its own OSERS, and then there's La Serra in LA. So there's a couple of different ones, but they're generally going to be some kind of defined benefit package, meaning that you're going to get some stipend for the rest of your life after a certain number of years of service credit and a certain age within the fire service. Whether or not you receive health insurance paid for is going to be department and agency specific. For example, we do not. We have to pay for our health insurance at a different rate when we are retired. So take a look at that. That's also in the memorandum of understanding or the contracts for the cities, and those can be found on the different human resource department websites. And that is all. So that's it for the lecture. If there's any questions, go ahead and shoot me an email, and I can cover some of those. All right. I am going to try to put up, like I said, the State Fire Training website and then the government jobs. I'll try to do an additional video and put it in an announcement for all of you so you can see what I was talking about with those. All right. Okay. Have a great week, everyone.